Hello everyone, welcome back to Vetruski Travels. This is Blueberry, our 2025 Thor Compass 24 kb. The rig, me, the wife, the Corgi, the German Shepherd are going to take full-time across the US and through Canada to share those adventures of this beautiful country with you. Today, I have an ambitious plan. I have a lot of upgrades planned for this. So we're doing an inverter. I'm doing a DC to DC charger. This one already has it, but I don't like the way it's working, and I'll tell you about that more later. Installing a second LifePo battery. Installing the seelevel tank monitoring system. This is something that's way more accurate than the 3-probe nonsense that's in here. And I believe that's it. If I miss something, I guess I'll tap into that later, but got a lot of work, and I'm probably not gonna get this done in one day. Oh, solar charge controller. I'm gonna be adding another solar panel to the roof, a 200-watt panel. I have to wait for the dealer to look at the roof, so I can't quite get to that today, but I am gonna be installing the solar charge controller, which is gonna be nice because this one has two outputs. One's gonna go to the chassis battery to keep the vehicle topped off, and the other one's gonna go, the other half goes to the house battery. So, a lot of work, so let's get busy. That's the good stuff, gotta have it. And look at that, Ford even provided a nice spot on the motor to hold the coffee. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is set up the wiring for my inverter. I need to make sure I have enough. Now, this is recycled from my first RV. Now guys, don't worry, I inspected it, it's in good shape. It's only 5 years old. It is dirty because Jayco put all this waxy stuff underneath. But it's dirty, but it's in good shape. I wouldn't risk running this much current on wire that had any deficiencies. To separate the wires too, to make life easy, I have black tape on the ends of one of the wires. This is gonna be my return wire. This is gonna be the wire that goes into the transfer switch. The other wire is gonna be coming from the shore power to the inverter. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into a whole big detail, but I'm gonna go ahead and run some wire ties, tie these up together. There is a nice rail underneath the frame here that the fuel line for the generator runs on. It's nice and well protected, so I'm gonna put this on top of that, make sure that it's not gonna fall down, be protected. I'll come back once we got it all run and show you how I'm gonna wire it into the transfer switch and the inverter. 3 days. Took me 3 days to get the inverter done. Guys, I am a disabled vet. I hurt my back in the Army, just years of stuff, you know, not like any major incident, but years of stuff takes its toll. So I don't get around as good as I used to. So this might look easy. It might look like, hey, no problem, but I've been hurting pretty bad doing this. So it's just been a slow, ongoing process. So I just wanted to share that with you. Just nobody under the wrong impression somewhere down the line, hey, you're doing all this stuff, but no, it does hurt. But hey, we got it done. Check it out. 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter by Renogy. Got it all wired up, and I got the remote panel here. Not what I had intended to begin with, but I ended up mounting this thing up a bit higher than I had planned on, because I didn't account for the fire extinguisher and how far it went in. So I had to move it up, and that took away the footage that I had calculated, because I did want to mount it back here where the bed is, because one, the converter, if you didn't know, there's a converter in there, so when you're on shore power, that creates 12 volts to charge your house batteries. Now when I turn on the inverter, I have to throw the breaker to turn that off, because there's no free energy. So you can't take 12 volts, make 110, feed it back around, create 12 volts to recharge your batteries that you're using to run. It doesn't work that way, so very inefficient. So if you're gonna have this route, you got to turn that off. Now, like on my last RV, I actually disconnected it because my inverter was actually also the battery charger. That's a real convenient thing to have and do. Unfortunately, it won't fit in this RV unless I were to put it put it back here in the pass-through area and put some batteries, but I don't want to do because I love the pass-through. We're going to go full-time and we need to carry stuff. So if we were just camping doing some stuff, I might consider that. That would prevent me from having to buy like a whole brand new unit, but there it is. So we got it done. We got it mounted. Everything is done. Well, at least as far as the inverter is concerned. So next, going to move on to the sea level tank monitoring and going to hook up the solar charge controller, which means too I'm going to have to run some wires. I'm going to keep the factory wires that are back there charge the AGM battery that's under that seat. So I'm going to run a second set of wires to the batteries here under the step, which let me show you. Ooh, look at that. We got twins now. So yeah, I got two batteries, double the amount of battery we have here. So now I have 200 amp hours. So it is connected properly. We have positive, all the positive coming off of this battery, all the negative from the factory going there. This positive goes over to that terminal. This negative goes to that. So the reason you do that is that way you're not using the negative. If you hook to the positive and negative one battery and just jumped over to the other one, it might not draw through the other battery and you'd have like unequal battery. So if you're using the negative of the other battery to run everything, then it should draw through because you're using the ground of the second battery. It's still 12 volts, so don't worry, it's not 24. If you go positive to negative, then yeah, but we want positive to positive, negative to negative. So got my second battery installed. Got the inverter. She's looking so pretty. And guys, don't worry. I know somebody's gonna, oh, what about heat, this, that, and the next thing. Look, if it runs hot, I already got a contingency plan for it. I can either put some holes here to let some air through where the fire extinguisher is, or I can put a vent down here, maybe in a fan if need to. And the same thing up here. We can cut a hole up here and put a vent or even a fan if it does. But the thing is, we really don't use the inverter that much. We've been doing this for 5 years, granted not full time, but 5 years. The biggest thing we ever run on is the microwave for a couple of minutes, maybe the coffee maker. So I don't see this thing running hot. I was just over here running the vacuum. The fans didn't even come on with this thing, so I think it'll be okay. Plus, you know, it's got plenty of room for air to kind of flow, and this piece here kind of overhangs here, so it can pull in some air. So I think it'd be fine. And like I said, at worst case, if it does, I just pull this thing back up. We'll add some vents, maybe some fans. We'll get taken care of. All right, well, for you to be instantaneous, but for me, tomorrow we'll finish this thing up, hopefully. Oh, everyone, it's been like, what, 5 days? I'm finally done with this project, and I decided not to do the DC to DC charger. I'm not going to swap it out. This already has one. What it was doing was coming on automatically. It's supposed to come on with the ignition, but from what I understand is if the voltage is above 12.5, something like that, it'll still kick on and charge the house batteries. Why it does that, I don't know, but it's actually gonna be a benefit to me because when I had this thing in storage over the winter, we're not using it. Even in short term though, I always had this on a float charger to keep the chassis battery fully charged because we keep this in the garage, so there's no sunlight hitting it. So it's actually gonna keep my house batteries charged without me having to put another charger or pull it out from here from time to time. And that, so the feature that I dislike is actually going to help me. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep that in there for now. Now I want to show you this. Fresh tank says it's empty. Little exclamation point, empty. The gray tank is empty. I know that because I emptied it. The black tank I haven't emptied, and it says it's empty. So I'm going to show you the sea level system. Now, running the wires here to the battery was really easy. I just took out that drawer, that one, and the one above the charger, and was easily able to run the solar wire underneath. That was absolutely fantastic. Before I get into the sea level system here is the new solar charge controller. This is a 30 amp versus the factory one that's 10 amp. Now, what I'm really disappointed in is that this uses CAN bus to communicate to the BM Pro. So here's the CAN bus cable going here to the BM Pro. Now it does this so it can talk, so that way we can get information. Now this one here, look, we have 1 battery, 2, and from the solar. So we have the solar here. This red and black is going to the chassis battery, and the white and orange goes to the driver's seat, goes to the AGM gel battery. Now this thing, I can program to say, hey, AGM and lithium. You would think if this was done properly, and that's the whole reason I went this route, is that I could program it from the BM Pro or on the BM Pro app. On the app, I can tell it what battery, but I can only do 1 battery. So for me to set up 2 charge profiles, now I had to go buy the Bluetooth remote screen for this, and it just pisses me off that the BM Pro doesn't talk to this thing the way it should, and that gopower doesn't have Bluetooth already enabled in this thing, that you have to go buy another freaking module. My last solar charge controller was Bluetooth, and it was just a little panel. Everything. Now granted, this is supposed to be better. I don't know, we shall see, but I have it in here. I did have to move the BM Pro over some to allow that to fit. And then 2 things. See, there's cooling fins right here. gopower says to mount it here so air can circulate, and I will be mounting this lower. The only reason I didn't do that now, I just reused the hole from the other one, because I'm gonna have to unscrew it so I can plug that panel in when it gets here. So the factory one, they had it mounted sideways, so the fins were pointing the wall. Like seriously, they don't even install it properly. And then 2, I'm glad I went this route, because when I unscrewed the factory wires, or the wires that the factory installed, either when they went to strip the wires, either cut it too hard or they over tighten it, because when I pulled it out, all the damn like wires, the strands fell off. I had like 3 or 4 strands that were actually doing anything to transfer power. It's crazy. But so here's the Bluetooth, the seelevel. Now I could mount this to where I can see it, but I don't want to cut any more holes in this, and I'm not going to use it anyhow. I'm just going to use the app. But if I ever want to, I probably could. I could cut a hole easily right here and see it, but for now it's going to stay here because all this I can see on the app. So there we got our voltage. Now remember, fresh tank said empty. Gee, 18%. And I know you really can't see, it's hard because this is opaque, but I can see it when I shine like a light through here. Oh, which I don't have. I can actually see the water's there. So that's why I like this setup. See, it uses this circuit board thing that sticks to the side of a tank. And it's real easy. It's got these tabs for, like, if it's fresh tank, you leave it alone like this. If it's like a black tank, you cut one of these tabs. A gray tank, you cut one. And even if you have a really tall tank, you can clip one and say, hey, this is top, this is the bottom. It's really easy to wire. Each one just has these 2 wires, and they all get connected together. So you got sensor 1, 2, 3, blue wire to blue wire to blue wire, black wire to black wire to black wire. Then the black wire goes to the ground, and your other wire goes to here. And then also I have the propane hooked up, so that was easy. Right here on this, the BM Pro, this orange wire is the propane, so I can see the propane now on both that screen, and I'll be able to see it on the app as well. But yeah, this is really nice and easy. I said I had this for 5 years on the other RV. Never had a problem with it because it's on the outside. It doesn't get stuff stuck to it like these probes here can, to short out or not work at all. So the only thing you do have to be careful about is sludge buildup on the inside, but if you use tank treatment like I always do, you shouldn't have a problem. Oh, and if you have one of these, the KB version with the gravity fill, or I think they all do, I noticed messing around here, I picked up this hose and then water ran out. That's nasty. That water's been sitting in there stagnant for that long. So I put a piece of wood there. I'm going to wire tie it so it doesn't shift. But yeah, so you might want to make sure that your hose is actually up enough, because it had a dip to where it wouldn't flow. And so like I said, you got water sitting there. Yuck. But oh, black tank, remember it said it was empty? Look at that, 34%. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. That's good information to know. But see where these probes are? They're about 1/3. So here shortly, that should be telling me it's at like 35%, and then you got your 50 and 100. Not a very good system at all. That's why I like the seelevel system. It just, oh, it's so aggravating that in order to use the basic of this solar charge controller, that I need to buy another piece. And the reason I'm doing 30, if you guys missed, I have a 200 watt solar panel that I'm going to be putting onto the roof. To add to that, right now I have some loose spots in the roof I want the dealership to look at before I go ahead and do that. So I'm not installing the solar panel today, but the vehicle is now ready to handle the additional power. And what's nice is now that I have a solar charge controller that will charge the house batteries over the chassis battery, which is what I want. Before, the way the factory had it wired up is it went to the seat. It went to the connection point on the seat, then to the red arc, the DC to DC charger, then to there. So it doesn't make much sense to me. Even though, I'll get into that. It's supposed to have a solar charger built into that BM Pro. I don't see the wire, but I guess the reason they didn't do that is because it wouldn't work with the BM Pro. You wouldn't be able to see the data. So lots of work. I can finally button this thing up, but I still have, like I said, the project there. There's gaping holes in the floor, which I'm going to fix. So if you have one of these, if you have the Compass or Gemini, stay tuned for that. You'll be surprised at how open that is. And if you drive one of these and you realize it sounds really loud, like when we bought this, we thought the door was open. Then I come to find out, oh, there's a big hole in the floor. Well, everyone, I greatly appreciate your time. I hope you found this entertaining, informative. If you have one of these, maybe it gives you some ideas on how to do yourself. But this can apply to any RV. The seelevel's universal to any RV. So is like wiring an inverter. Just the location is kind of unique for what I did here. So this can be used for any RV. But I'm just sharing the modifications that I'm doing for the RV. Because this is like the seelevel I had before. Inverters are just handy. That way, if you can't run a generator, maybe you have an issue with the generator, or like I said, most of the time we pull in the rest area while we're driving. Just want to run a microwave or something like that. I don't want to turn on the generator, fire up a motor for 2 minutes, put all that strain on a motor. And the actual like generator part. No point in doing that to it just for 2 minutes, right? So, all right. Hope you enjoyed. Greatly appreciate you watching. You will be seeing less of me here shortly because we do have some trips planned. You're only going to really see just purely me right now while I'm doing the modifications. So you got to deal with this pretty face. But soon the wife will be joining us for some hilarious adventures. So I appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. See you next one.